How you doing this evening? Um,
Hello.
hey, Mickey, can you start sharing?
Yep, I'm on it, bro.
Because Wintus is not here to share.
Oh, we didn't have our little flyer too. I don't think it was done.
All right. Well, Mickey, I can't see numbers. I guess you could tell us when
I
we at
see
least get.
6. It says 6,
It's at 6. Okay, that's good.
7.
Um, well, this evening, welcome to Sister Circle. Winters has something to do, but today we have the lovely from Ward 1, the lovely Rose Morrow.
Thank you. Hello, everyone.
So, Rose, you can start off with telling us how your week's been going and anything good going on. You might
It's
want to
been
let people
going.
know.
It's been going pretty good. It's been hot. We're out walking door to door and putting out yard signs. I told him. I said I'm not dropping out the race. I'm gonna continue and fight harder. So that's what I've been doing basically all week, every day from sun up to sundown. And then I've been doing some community stuff too. We've been working on a lot, so it's been going good. I appreciated that rain. My flowers needed it.
Any updates with, I guess, we're not on 810 all the time. Any updates with your campaign office? Like, were you able to get the things you needed done to get your supplies out? Um,
No, I couldn't get my supplies out because they burned up everything. They poured exfoliant all over everything. And
Gosh.
when they broke in and they burned up everything, yard signs, marketing materials, stuff for my community picnic, they burned up everything that was in there, equipment, everything. So that was a total loss. But like I said, I'll be working out of my car. It's not going to stop me from participating in this election. I don't give up and I don't scare.
I think of, being the fact that you're a woman now, especially we got Kamala Harris running now for president, and the things that I see going on and how they're portraying her and how they're just being evil. And then I pair it up to you, and I think about you got to be a force to be reckoned with for people to mess with you. Like they got to know that there's something so special about you and Kamala that the reason why people are getting messed with. Like people don't mess with people that are not. I just believe people don't mess with people if they're not a threat.
So the thing that people fail to realize is that, when you do stuff like this to a person that haven't done anything to you and that's trying to actually help people, first I always say, whenever something's going good, the devil will always try and step in and try and ruin it for everybody. He'll try and create animosity when people are coming together, like we were all coming together and we still are, and doing certain things that people are doing is actually making some people stronger. They don't understand that. But whenever something's going good, there's going to be some division, but we just got to stay focused and dedicated and just move forward. Don't think about what happened, just move forward. You don't have time to sit and dwell about everything that took place. We got something we got to accomplish, so we just got to keep moving forward. And then we just regroup, just sit down, get your plan together again, and start all over again. But sometimes you'll be blessed when you start all over again. But yeah, when you have a strong individual, whether it's a man or a woman, division, somebody's always intimidated. And in this case, with the election and the city of Flint, this was a weak minded individual
Mhm.
that most likely had a criminal background and a record. They could have just, wanted to just try and scare me out of the race. But guess what? I don't scare. If anything, you should have did your homework. You would have known I was a sheriff deputy. I've been in law enforcement altogether for 29 and a half years. I did investigation, everything. So in my case, even though I'm not a certified police officer anymore, sometimes I can solve my own crime. Might
Yes.
know who did it, might know why. And when you think about things like that, sometimes criminals get sloppy. They feel like because they've been getting away with shit for so long, they can just continue. And then they think nobody's going to do anything in the city of Flint. But guess what? Burning flags is a misdemeanor. Setting a building on fire is a felony. But because I'm a candidate in an election, that makes it federal. So then you have the Federal Bureau of Investigations, FBI. You got state police. You got the arson division. You got the Flint Police Department. You got the fire department. And then you got all those people that love me. Even though I'm not a law enforcement officer
Yep.
anymore, guess what? When you go with blue, you are always blue when you good. It's the good officers. The bad ones, prosecute them. But the good ones, they look after. We always law enforcement family. So to the individuals that set my fire, don't worry. Your day is coming. Your day is coming. But anyway, let's get back to talking about.
Yeah, no, but you needed to say that because from the beginning you've been running a clean campaign.
Oh, I'm gonna continue to run a clean
You've been
campaign because you know
running.
what? God is gonna bless me. God is always looking out for me. I Burning up that building wasn't even my building. I was paying rent. It belonged to the church. That building, Gundry's old pre-K kindergarten classroom, I'm 57. I'll be 58 December 22nd. That building has been there since I was a kid and several others that have attended that building. They're also upset with the individuals that set that or individual that set that fire. And eventually what's in the dark will come to light. Because you give a motherfucker enough rope, they will hang themselves because they get sloppy eventually. So don't worry. Now you got several citizens that upset with you for burning down a historical building. So that's okay. Eventually, what's in the dark will come to light. God's gonna take care of me, and the criminal justice system gonna take care of the criminals. So we
You're right
good.
about that. I
We're
would
gonna
say,
continue to fight.
I would say for me,
Mhm.
I'm not running for council, but I'm running actually for the ANC commissioner in my own neighborhood. Um,
Congratulations.
and even me, like, the position I'm running for is not a paid position. It's a way where I'm able to really do the things that I said I wanted to do. You get a certain age and you're like, I have
Well,
not tried this because I didn't think I would have the time or I didn't think that they will pick me. But when you get that passion in you and you
mhm.
recognize who you are and who God made you to be,
Yes,
nothing can stop me from what it is I said I wanted to do when I was younger. And
yes.
that's where I'm at right now.
And when
Uh,
I started to do this with council, that position doesn't pay a lot of money. And after taxes, there's going to hardly be anything there. And I do so much in the community. A lot of my money probably be spent in the community. But the thing about it is, I took this position because I seen a need that the residents needed someone to help them, someone that was going to be there to bring that faith and trust back in the city and in that ward. Because everybody know we call the first ward the blue city because all the blue tarps. And then we call it the forgotten ward because nobody would help the famous Councilman Eric Mays. Everybody loved Councilman Mays, but we all know that they fought with him. They didn't like his delivery, the way he delivered the message, but that man was knowledgeable. He would help everybody. And see, the thing about it is that because people were so jealous of him and people that wanted to be like him that couldn't be like him because the people wouldn't accept them because they could have not been Councilman Mays, but they could have been a good person that Councilman Mays could have possibly offered guidance. And I know he helped some of the snakes that are out there to try and help because he was that type of person. He tried to help everybody, and everybody know that. But just because there's jealousy and animosity and people are intimidated by people, that's crazy. There's enough stuff that's wrong that's going on in the city of Flint that everybody can pick a certain subject. The city council members could work with the residents. People need to learn how to multitask. If the city council, and I've said it before, would have taken care of the residents first, the residents wouldn't be feeling the way they are. But they feel like no, they need to be heard and nobody's listening. Every time they come to council, you see what happened. So the residents need to be heard. So I'm taking this position because I want to fight for the residents and I want to give them their faith back and their trust back that there's somebody out there fighting for them. I'm not saying all the council people on the city council is bad and not trying, because there are some on there that's trying. But then we have a few demons on there that didn't need to go. And I've said it before, we all got to pray that Miss Beverly Biggs and the recall is successful, because she got to go.
It's something, when we think about, I'll go higher. When we think of Kamala
Mm-hmm.
and the way they're portraying her, like, I've even heard people put that she was the Antichrist and she was demonic, and
She's
she's,
an African American female, a
yes,
strong
and
black
all the
female.
evil things they were saying, and I go back and I sit there and I said, well, we have some real examples that we every day that sit on our council, that sit in our mayor's office, that
Mhm.
really are not for the people. They're for certain
There's a
people.
bad apple in every group.
Every group has. You're
And
right.
everybody's gonna, something's gonna happen, something's gonna be said about everybody. But we always had that saying back in the day when you were in elementary and high school, people are gonna talk about you. Words ain't never hurt nobody. Hey, just like people try to take people's freedom of speech. The video that was made saying stop talking about President Council Person Liddell Lewis, Quincy Murphy, Candace Musette, Judy Priestley. Well, guess
Mhm.
what? They were doing their damn job, nobody would be talking about them. And I'm a grown ass woman. And well, everybody know my saying. Basically, is nobody feeding me or paying my bills. So guess what? Everybody's entitled to their opinion, like everybody has an asshole. If I
Yep.
want to talk about whoever, I have the right to do it. And nobody's gonna stop me. So if you're doing your job, you don't have anything to worry about. If you're taking care of the residents, you don't have anything to worry about. If you're spending the money the way you're supposed to be spending it, you don't have anything to worry about. But when that damn audit come in, baby,
Oh wow.
I want to be there. I want to see people in handcuffs walking off. I want 810 to be there. And even though the media's in that little box, that video's still gonna be good when they get walked out in handcuffs. And I'm praying when they come to come to arrest some people, I hope it's during city council. So it can all be on video.
I would love to be there. Oh my God.
Yes, it would be so nice. I
It
gotta
would.
make sure I'm there too.
810 got to be there live.
Oh yes. Yes.
But today, Sister Circle, we're going to talk about something that's in the news that, of course, can be very upsetting. But um, we have a great person on here today, which I said is Rose Morrow. But Rose Morrow has a background that can actually speak on this situation that is going on, a very touchy situation. And she understands both sides of the scenario. And so I really wanted to talk about, which you all know, the beautiful Sonia Massey, who was murdered. And it's a touch. I was in the car with my girlfriend and I was driving and she was just telling me about Sonia Massey. And I was like, well, who's that? She's like, I saw it on Instagram, and she showed me it, and she's like, I can't watch the video. Well, I watched the video. I don't know why. I just wanted to see what she was talking about, and I'm still traumatized from watching the video. So, Mickey, can you put up? We're going to give her a moment of silence, and I want anyone who's in the chat to just look at this picture and really just have a moment of just meditation and just thinking about this could have been one of us. So I'm gonna be quiet. Thank you, Mickey. You could leave the picture up for a minute. Not trying to make everyone get it's a Friday. You know, Fridays usually like, thank God it's Friday. But we have to talk about these things because this one, I'm not saying the other cases were not. But when I look at Sonia, I see my girlfriends. I see my cousins. I see Kamala Harris. She's a Black, beautiful woman who called the police to get help because she thought there was an intruder. And unfortunately, her life was taken. So, Mickey, we're going to put on the quick video, just the quick video. You don't have to go through the whole thing of Sonia Massey and what happened. And then we're just going to have a organic conversation, Rose.
Okay.
And I'll let you lead after the video, what you see, what you feel. And then I'll go after you.
I know that video made me cry when I watched it.
Well, this video is not the video of it. It's just too much for me. This is the video of Democracy Now. Mickey, do you see it in your messenger?
I'm getting it right now. Hold on.
Oh, okay. So this is the findings through Democracy Now on here. I can't put the video. It's too much for me.
You know what? Send that back to me, Anna.
Send it back to you. Okay. Give me 1 second. She's here.
Free, while you guys are doing that, I left my glasses. I can read part of it. I'm trying to read it because the writing is so small in the chats on my phone. But it looks like someone's asking. It looks like Free. Like I said, I'm diabetic, so my vision with little small print is hard to read. But it says something about when you're seated.
I sent it to you, Mickey, on your messenger. You got it? Yeah, if you see something in the chat, Rose, you can answer it. It's because I'm over here doing this.
I got you. 1 second.
Okay. Okay, it says, hey, Rose, I have a question for you. Let me see. If Liddell, oh, God, I can't see it. Let me see, small something.
All right, Rose, it's going to go. I'll look at it in a minute.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mickey.
Now.org. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. A warning to our listeners and viewers, we're about to discuss graphic details of police violence. The family of Sonia Massey is demanding justice after the unarmed 36-year-old Black woman was shot dead in her own home in Illinois when she called 911 for help. Police initially claimed she died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound, but police body cam footage has just been released and has proved that all to be a lie. Former Sangamon County Sheriff's Deputy Sean Grayson, who's white, has been fired and charged with first-degree murder for fatally shooting Sonia Massey. Grayson did not activate his body cam until after he killed her. But the other officer's body camera was activated when they arrived at her house. It shows the two men speaking with Sonia before one notes her stove is on and says, "We don't need a fire while we're here." When Massey goes to turn off the stove where a pot of water is boiling, a deputy tells her to step away from your hot steaming water. Massey can be heard saying, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus," and Grayson takes his gun out and responds, quote, "You better effing not, or I swear to God I'll effing shoot you in the effing face." As Sonia Massey appears to duck and twice says, "I'm sorry," the video shows Grayson moving toward her and fire 3 shots, ultimately shooting her in the face. This is a clip of the exchange leading up to the shooting.
What is your last name? Shouldn't have to think about your last name. You're not in trouble. I just need to text.
Massey.
Yeah, you have an ID. That'd make things so much easier. I just driver's license will do, and I'll get out of your hair.
I want to show y'all my paperwork.
I will get your paperwork.
What paperwork?
Okay. I got some paperwork.
Well, just get your ID real
Well, let's
quick.
get your ID first, and then
One task at a time here.
Okay, let me.
Here, grab your ID for me.
Okay.
Your ID. One task at a time. So let's do an ID, and then you can dig around for your paperwork.
I don't know where my ID is.
you stand that stack right there, maybe.
1 second.
Check on her.
Let me read this.
We don't need a fire while we're here.
All right. Okay. Let me see. Okay. Where you going?
Huh?
Where you going?
Away from your hot steaming water.
Away from my hot steaming water?
Yeah.
Oh, I would refuse you in the name of Jesus.
Huh?
You in the name of
No, that's where I got. I'll shoot you right in your face.
So after that, Sean Grayson shoots Sonia Massey. Body cam footage later records him telling his partner not to render aid to her. Records show Grayson has worked 6 different law enforcement agencies in Illinois since 2020. All of this comes as Massey's family says police first tried to cover up her killing. The Guardian newspaper obtained audio of a call from the scene in which a deputy told the dispatcher Massey's wound was self-inflicted. The family said it was also given misleading information given by police that she was shot by a neighbor. This is Massey's father, James Wilburn, at a news conference.
I was under the impression that a prowler had broke in and killed my baby. Never did they say there was a deputy involved shooting until my brother read it on the internet. He shared with me, he said, brother, what was Sonia's address? I told him, and he said to me, this says this is a deputy involved shooting. So, deputy involved shooting? What are you talking about?
Sonia Massey was the mother of 2, a 15-year-old daughter and a 17-year-old son. Her killing by police has prompted protests, and both President Biden and Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris issued statements saying Massey's family deserves justice. Vice President Harris said, quote, Sonia Massey deserved to be safe. Doug and I send strength and prayers to Sonia's family and friends. We join them in grieving her senseless death. Unquote. Harris also called for Congress to pass the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. For more, we're joined by Ben Crump, civil rights attorney representing the family of Sonia Massey. Can you explain exactly what took place? You've been out there, Ben. You're representing the family at this point, and talk about the cover-up as well.
Well, obviously, it's a tragic beyond proportions, Amy. This is the worst police shooting video that I've seen. I mean, it is so senseless. And the video is disturbing, but the audio is equally disturbing. When you look at that video and you see him move around the counter, even though he's trying to allege the reason he shot her was because he feared that she was going to throw hot water in his.
Hello. Sorry. I muted myself. Can y'all hear me? Oh, you're muted too, Rose.
That video. First of all, I mean, there's a bad apple or two in every group. We start off by he's talking about he worked for 6 different agencies. When they did his background, what was the reason why he left those agencies? There's a use continuum chart when you teach defensive tactics. There's a scale. It goes from red, which is your weapon, deadly force, to verbal, nonverbal, your stun gun, your bean bags, or your taser, whatever. But there is no way. First of all, he told her that she could go over there. He was a ways away from her. Even if she had swung that water a little bit, it wouldn't have got him. I just don't see that water hitting him. There was no other weapon involved. That hot water, he was around the counter. He could see her. The view was clear. He could see what she was doing. He was on the other side of the room, on the other side of the counter. If she had ran towards him with the pot of water, Okay. I mean, he would have got burnt. But then he could have did whatever he was going to do, but there was no threat. He executed, in my personal opinion, he executed that lady. He needs to be in prison, or depending on the state, the electric chair, death penalty. That woman did not do anything. Just saying, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus, that was enough for him to do that. There was no threatening words there. Somebody said in the comment I seen, well, he heard Jesus and it was a demon. He was evil. He had to have been evil. He was evil. There is no way in hell that there is no justification for what he did to her. He executed her. She was down. Even when he started yelling at her, she went down on the floor. Her hands was up. She didn't even have the damn pot. I know one thing, he better not get off, and he better get life if they don't have a death penalty, because that's playing out wrong. Too many officers are not being held accountable. I know I was an officer for 29 and a half years, but no, I was a good officer. I would never do nothing like that. And I wouldn't tolerate any officer doing it. And I thank God that other officers' body cam was on, or we probably wouldn't know the truth by now. They would have lied and covered it up like they tried to do. We can't condone that. We got to hold the officers accountable. The departments, you see the officers, the department cleared that and showed that damn video quick because they didn't want to riot. They didn't want any problem. They showed him. I seen the mugshots. There was also a tattoo, and I can't remember the name of the group that the tattoo allegedly was supposed to be affiliated to, but it was racism. I know they mentioned that. So no, that was an execution. Her hands was up. She was going on the ground. That woman was scared. And that shit wasn't taught in the police academy.
So I got a question because I want to go. I want to go step by step from every part of the video. So I know you know Michigan and where you were. So I think she was in Illinois, right? So laws are different.
Yeah, they're
but
different.
if I called the police because I felt there was an intruder, do they have a right to ask me for my ID when they come into my house?
Well, the only reason we ask ID is just trying to for the report. It's easier when you write in your report spelling the name correctly. That's all. And that's what he claimed he was doing. But the bottom line is she called 911 for help. She wasn't trying to hurt those officers when they came in. That one officer and he lied and tried to cover up the whole thing. But like I said, thank God for that body cam, because without that body cam, we wouldn't have known the truth. They would have covered it up. But yeah, I ask people for their ID. It's easier because sometimes it's hard to understand people, their language or their pronunciation of things. It's easier when you're writing the report. You got their date of birth, their address, their full name. Everything's on there. Race, size, birth date, everything's on there. It's easier. So you put that stuff in your report. But that mess that he did and just jumping around, and he went from 0 to 10 just because she said a few words, and the words weren't even threatening. So I'm sorry, that gave me a headache.
I know. I'm just trying to what I'm trying to get is basically saying, we normally don't have access to talk to a police officer with situations like that. And it's a blessing to know you, Rose Morrow. And that's why I wanted to really have a really organic conversation about this, because, when I'm watching this, the huge part that you play is where the policy, the law, probably in the state you are, but you can generalize what usually is done. I don't know if it goes from state to state.
No, each police academy, each officer have been through a defensive tactics class. They're going to teach you your verbal skills. As far as like I said, the scale goes from red, lethal, deadly force, down. It starts at verbal, the yellow, then it goes up a little orange, then it goes into red, into deadly. You're supposed to be using your verbal skills. There was nothing. He told her to go
Bro,
get
look straight ahead. Look
Okay,
straight
well,
ahead.
he told her, he gave her permission to go turn that water off. He was talking to her. He went from 0 to 10. There was no way that should have went 0 to 10. He was a ways from her. That comfort, that safe zone, everybody say my safety zone. There was no way he should have went 0 to 10, and he went 0 to 10. He should have been talking to her, when she made that comment about I rebuke you. If I'm correct watching that video, she didn't even have a pot. Her back was turned, but then she turned, but she didn't have the pot in her hand. She squatted down with her hands up. There was no reason for him to take his weapon out and shoot. And that dumbass partner that was with him, he got eyes of his own.
Mhm.
He should have seen there was no threat. He pulled his damn gun because the other officer pulled his damn gun. There was no reason to pull your gun. She didn't have the pot in her hand. And then, of course, he's going to say, oh, I thought she was going to throw the hot water on me. She didn't have the damn pot in her hand. She had her hands up and she went down, and he executed her.
But even before he said that, he reported back and said that it was self-inflicted because he didn't have his camera on, but he didn't realize that his partner had
the camera on.
So they had already premeditated. I feel they premeditated the both of them on how they were going to clear his name.
I feel like the officer that shot her was begging that other officer not to say anything, but that other officer, I don't know how much time he had on, but there is no excuse. Any rookie coming into the police academy and graduating, getting their certification, getting their badge, they are taught you don't do what the other officer's doing. If you know it's wrong, don't do it. Why play with your livelihood? If anything, he should have told that officer, turn around and put your hands behind your back and called a supervisor. And I'm quite sure he probably turned around, probably would have shot him too. But he executed that lady. There was no way. He should have immediately called for a supervisor and told him to get there. Don't go along with that other officer. Now, I don't know the whole story because I wasn't there on that part, but I know that officer executed her. You can see it in the video. The whole thing is showed in the body cam.
Do you think, well, we hear all week about Flint. I think you even said you had called the police and it took over 2 hours for them to come out to you. And then I hear other people saying that it took 45 minutes for them to come out. But being the fact that I hear this.
But the bottom line on this case,
I get scared myself.
But see,
if I feel somebody is invading my home, now am I fearful that if I call for help, will they turn on me? I'm just throwing that out there because people can be feeling like that. So do I handle things on my own?
No, I would still say call 911. I'm not saying every officer is bad. There's a hell of a lot of good officers, but there's bad officers too. When I made that comment about 2 hours and 37 minutes, whatever it was that day, it was in the evening. It was in peak hours. We all know Flint Police Department is short staffed. We all know, and if you don't know, when there's radio calls, 911 dispatch them by priority. If there's a shooting and somebody's hurt, having a heart attack, whatever it may be, the priority calls take first precedence. I had called in a dog call. There was no threat where I was at 911. I had spoke to 911 at least 6 times. And they begged me to stay at the end. Just when they said it was a sergeant actually that was coming and he was almost there. But priority calls take precedence. And in my case, because it was a dog call and there was no threat, that's why it took so long. I waited because I wanted to make sure the officer had the information because the neighbors were telling me they had been calling the police forever on this dog. So I did the job for them and got all the information, downloaded the Ring cameras from the neighbors. So when he got there, all he had to do was write his report and all I had to do was text the videos to them. We started off with City of Flint police officers. I don't know if I've mentioned this before. My aunt and uncle worked for Flint Police Department for 30-something years. My uncle was a dispatcher. My aunt was a police officer for Flint Police Department. She, towards her last years before she retired, she went and helped in dispatch. She liked helping people. And then, of course, unfortunately, she passed away in 2018. But Flint Police Department went from 300 officers down to right now we have 100. And out of that 100, they are not all out on patrol. They are working detectives bureau. They're working narcotics. They're working in the police department. They're assisting with crime investigation. Then you have some officers on traffic. You have some that's doing, like I said, narcotics, drug raids, surveillance, or whatever they may be doing. And then you have some officers that's out on medical. You know what we need to do? We need to revamp the whole police department. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking the Flint Police Department because we have some damn good officers. But what's happening is they are hiring officers when they can, but we're so short staffed at Flint Police Department. The new boots, as we call them, when they graduate from the academy and come to the department, they're supposed to be on probation for a certain amount of time, right? Do field training, have a field training officer with them. When they feel they're ready, they cut them loose. But Flint, I feel, in my personal opinion, is so damn short staffed, they're getting thrown out. That night I called, and it took 2 hours and 40 something minutes. I know for a fact there was one sergeant and maybe 6 officers out there. And in the middle, once he went trying to help me, a call comes on the radio. Somebody was getting shot up on Stockdale, and I believe the person passed away. But I told him, I said, go ahead. We made peace with each other because when he first got out, we didn't see eye to eye, just because in the police academy, they're taught what's called interpersonal communication skills. You got to talk to the public a certain kind of way. You know, like I told you, I mentioned that use continuum chart where it goes from verbal to lethal. They also are taught interpersonal communication skills. Ma'am, a resident want to be heard. You call 911. You need help. The officer gets out the car. Ma'am, are you the one that called 911? Yes, sir. Yes, I am. What's going on? What's your name? Tell me what happened in case of something threatening. Maybe somebody hurt somebody. You need to know. You got to make sure the scene is safe. But in some cases, officers get out of the vehicle. Well, you must not be afraid the damn dog. You're still standing out here. You know, you don't talk to the public like that. Some officers are talking to the public any kind of way. That's not using good interpersonal communication skills. But some of these officers are so damn stressed out because they're short staffed. So we need to work with the police department. You know, I sit in through their budget meeting recently when they had it at City Hall in the chamber. But we need to figure out a way to get more officers, get them proper training, and make sure the right people, everybody is not a supervisor. There's a difference between a boss and a leader. A leader leads. A leader's going to get down there and get dirty with you and do the job and help you and teach you because they want you to be promoted and do the right and teach you the right thing, not shortcuts. A boss is what I call a paycheck getter. He's not there to help you. He really don't care. It's a job. He's probably been there too long, become complacent, and really don't care. He probably was mistreated and just wanted to get promoted. You can't promote everybody. You got to have a proper program to teach these officers the right way when they're dealing with the public, especially in the city of Flint. And in my personal opinion, the city of Flint is one of the best places to, when you come into a new department. City of Flint is, and right now that being that they're short staffed, when you come in, a good officer is going to try to learn everything they can because you're going to get to learn everything and possibly get promoted very fast. But there's some officers that graduate from the academy, that gun and badge is all they care about, and their attitudes are fucked up. I call them walking lawsuits waiting to happen. And this, going back to the shooting, that officer is what I would call a walking lawsuit waiting to happen. I'm quite sure some of those police departments probably knew there is no way in hell, because you get evaluations every year and somebody wrote something, but guess what? They don't want to lose his certification, so they're going to let them go. They're going to let them go before they fire them, and then the next agency is going to hire them up because they short staff. And then on top of that, you have, and not just with Flint Police Department, it's happening at Genesee County Sheriff Department and several other law enforcement agencies. There are people that want to be police officers that will come and work for you, get that certification, get out of the police academy, maybe work a year, if that, and then turn around, turn in their resignation letter. That's why at one point, Genesee County, and I don't know if they're still doing it, they were actually suing those individuals and trying to get that money back because it's going to cost anywhere from what, with benefits and salaries and uniform parts and the training, it's going to probably be maybe average 25 to 30 something thousand to put them through the police academy, because they also have to give them a salary while they're going through the police academy and give them medical benefits. Now they're going to be on probation for a year once they graduate from the police academy, but still, that's a lot of money. And then they turn around and quit. That's taxpayers' dollars. So the police department's got to hold those officers accountable too, and make sure when they want that reference to go to the next agency, that they let that agency know what they did. Because we got to start holding these officers accountable for what they're doing. But the Flint Police Department, we need to look at their budget. And actually, to my understanding, the police department and the fire department is paid out of general fund. They used to have their own budget. The police department and the fire department for the city of Flint, they need their own budget. They need a new building. We're spending money on the wrong things. If the police department is well organized and equipped, there are things they need. Talk about vests, radios, things that's not, who's going to go put their life on the line when you got an old vest you're wearing or a radio that half works when it wants to because it's outdated and it's a dinosaur? Vehicles that are falling apart. Then you got officers that are scared. I've talked to some of the Flint police officers. Hell, they're scared as I would be. You out there going into a situation where there's a whole crowd, and guess what? Where's the bag up? And in certain situations like break-ins, domestic violence, you got to have at least 2 officers. So that time delay might be a delay still with that, because that officer is going to have to wait for another officer before they can even go in the house or pull up in front of the house because you don't know what's going on. But no, we just got to make sure our officers are properly trained and equipped, but we got to make sure they're right up here. Some departments need to go back to doing those psychological exams. If that MF is crazy, he should not be given a gun and a badge because he's going to abuse his power and somebody's going to get hurt. Again, that's what I call a walking lawsuit waiting to happen.
Do you think that if an officer, if they, I don't know, each state is different, but if they change the law where if you were at another, another precinct you worked for and they fired you, should you be able to be hired somewhere else? I mean, everyone else works somewhere, and if you get fired, you can't go to another place.
Well, they look at, it's 2 things: what you were fired for. Me personally, if I was doing recruiting and I seen that a person was fired, when they asked, they were let go, why did you leave? Because on every application, if it's McDonald's or whatever, why did you leave that previous job? Oh, that individual, I'm quite sure, is going to word it where it's not going to say what actually happened. But somebody should be calling that agency, talking to different people, talking to their shift supervisor, talking to the commander, talking to human resources. But it's sad, it's sad to say, when you apply at a new agency and you call to check on an officer that's applying with your agency, human resources is going to look in their file and they're going to say so much. So I feel like sometimes people are afraid, or it's their friend, they don't want to say certain things. A thorough investigation just needs to be done prior to that person being hired, because hiring a police officer is not hiring a person at Burger King. You need to do a thorough investigation. State police will go talk to your neighbors. They will go talk to your family members. They will go talk to your exes. They will do a thorough investigation. And then some people slip through the cracks every now and then, because it's also that good old buddy system. You got a father or mother that was a police officer, and then now their child wants to come up and being a police officer. But I've seen situations where that child, even though their mom and dad was an excellent officer, that child has some mental issues. They shouldn't have been hired. And I read about this stuff. So a thorough investigation needs to be done when a person has worked for other agencies, and then this police department that he's working for now, it said in the video that he allegedly worked at 6 other agencies. That should have been a red flag right there.
Within 4 years. Within 4 years.
In 4 years. Was it due to budget cuts? Was he the last one hired, the first one to be, pink slip to go? What was the reasons why he worked at 6 other agencies in 4 years? That should have been a red flag. That's a lot of damn agencies. Because he sure wasn't volunteering for him.
So, Rose, what I'm going to do is go in the chat so they know we're live, because we haven't been responding to the chat, and I know they're saying. Okay. So I'm going to scroll down because I know you can't.
I can't see it on my phone, but I can see it up here on the screen. It's larger.
Okay, so I'm going to go to, okay, hold on. Give me one. So I'm going to go to one person.
Deborah.
Okay, so Free Daddy said, do you think the partner knew to keep the camera on because he knew that the officer was foul?
I wouldn't turn my camera off anyway. He should have turned that camera on when he first got in the vehicle. That camera should have came on, because if something had transpired outside, if it was the um, perpetrator that was walking around her house that she was talking about, that she thought somebody was outside, when he got out of that vehicle, he should have hit that mic right, that camera right then. It did. He shouldn't have waited. And the guy didn't even have, the one officer that did the shooting didn't turn his camera on per the video until after the shooting. But the partner had his on. I seen that when he had his on when he entered. And I believe he had it on outside too, because I seen her stand in the doorway. That camera should have went on before he got out that vehicle. Because somebody could have been out there shooting at them when they pulled up. You're supposed to turn that camera on before you get out the car. There was no excuse for that. That officer probably had a habit of doing what he was doing. He just didn't care.
Chris Kopp said, make the officers pay liability insurance. It's simple to solve this problem of bad officers.
Well, the department and city's going to, well, the city takes over. The city's supposed to pay anyway. In cases like this, the city's going to have to pay. They're going to have to pay that family. That was an execution. There's no excuse for that.
Ronald, I would love for you to answer him. This is just a statement he wrote. He said, I don't trust officers that's just from my experience with police. And, you know, I've told you that even me.
And Ronald, I can understand that, because I'm not going to lie. You know, as an officer, I've been pulled over. I've been pulled over for bullshit. I remember years ago in Redford, I was down in Detroit, but I was in Redford. And I've been an officer for 29 and a half years, but I don't trust every officer, because I've seen too much. It's not like it used to be. I've been pulled over. I was in an undercover car, pulled out of McDonald's on Telegraph. A racist Redford police officer, and I was in plain clothes because I was on my way to a drug raid. I was driving, it was a dark color Intrepid, Chrysler Intrepid. I don't know if you remember those. But anyway, I had stopped because we were going to be there all night. And I was early. I left early to get me something to eat. I pulled in Taco Bell, got my food, put out the drive-thru, pulled on the Telegraph. Next thing you know, I hadn't even went past Taco Bell on Telegraph. And I get pulled over. And I'm like, what the hell? So the next thing you know, the officer said at first that he was really rude and disrespectful. Caucasian officer. I didn't identify myself because I'm like this. I ain't did nothing wrong. And why should I have to identify myself right away? So I wanted to see what the hell he was doing. So he asked me for my ID and everything. And I told him. I gave it to him. He asked me for my registration and proof of insurance. Fool, you had ran my plate before you even pulled me over, because you were sitting back there for a minute. On an undercover car, it's suppressed. I always drove an undercover car if I was doing a drug raid or working a special unit. When you pull up that plate, a law enforcement agency, it'll say suppressed. It's not going to show who it belongs to, whatever. It'll say suppressed, which the way it comes up, a good, knowledgeable law enforcement officer would know that vehicle basically belongs to a law enforcement agency. But he wanted to be an asshole. He wanted my information. I gave it to him. I asked him, officer, I was really polite. I'm always polite. Officer, can you tell me why you pulled me over? He just looked at me like I was crazy and said, you just sit there. He said, no, I'll be back. So he went back there and he made me sit there forever. Made me late for the drug raid. We wind up not even doing it because the shit rolled downhill from there. But anyway, he went back to the vehicle, came back, and he's being rude, disrespectful. And I told him, why did you pull me over? I said, I gave you my ID. I know you ran my plate. If you know how to read lean, you're going to know what that means. He thought I was being a smart ass, told me to get out the car. I told him, I said, well, sir, before I get out the car, I need to tell you something. I'm a sheriff deputy. I have a gun on my side, my right side, and I have a 5-shot around my ankle. And the trunk is full of weapons because I'm a sheriff deputy and I was on my way to a drug raid. And I said, he said, get out the fucking vehicle, start screaming and yelling at me. My hands were already up. I get out the vehicle, but I had already called and told my partners then what was going on my cell phone. So they were already making phone calls to get to where I was at. The next thing you know, he gets out, my hands is up. I said, sir, just reach around my neck. You'll see my bead, my star, my ID, my law enforcement certification is around my neck. It's in my t-shirt. Just pull the bead up and you can get my pouch. Then he calmed down a little bit and we get exchanged some words. Why didn't you tell me you was a law enforcement agency? Why in the hell should I have to tell you I'm a law enforcement agency? Do you go around pulling black people over all the time like this? Why in the hell did you pull me over? Well, we had a BOL on the lookout. Two individuals just committed an armed robbery at a party store. Okay, what was the description? It was men, white male, two white males. I'm a black female. So, because I had our call and found out what it was. And he was lying. Well, we got an exchange, we got to some arguing and everything, and it didn't go well for him. But that's why I say I don't trust every law enforcement agency. I shouldn't have to identify myself. I'm going to identify myself. Don't get me wrong. As a law enforcement officer, when I was an officer, I will identify myself, but I want to see what this officer's mind is at. And then you want to get the name calling because he said I should have told him I was an officer. No, because you out here pulling out black people. You sitting here lying saying that you got a description of somebody, a BOL to somebody that robbed the two men that robbed the store, and I'm a black female. And they're driving a truck and I'm driving a car. So you were just fucking with me. So no, I understand, Ronald. Every officer is not a good officer, but that's why certain things, and to this day, if I haven't got pulled over, thank God, knock on wood. But if I was to get pulled over, and I tell my kids and my family members and friends, when an officer pull you over, well, first of all, I tell everybody, make sure your registration and your proof of insurance is in an envelope and it's handy right there in the glove box. But when you get pulled over, if it's not in the daytime, if it's at night, turn on your light so the officer can see in that car. Keep your hands on the steering wheel. You don't reach for shit until that officer tell you to. And you ask the officer, my driver's license is in my my pocket or my purse, and my registration and proof of insurance is in the glove box. Sir, can I get it? And the most officers will tell you, reach with your right hand, grab it, just do it slowly, and but a good officer anyways. And the officer's going to be shining his flashlight in the car anyway so they can see what's going on. But don't be yelling, screaming at the officer, because you know why? Because everybody's going to run into an asshole officer at one point. But the thing about it is sometimes pick your battles. You can always fight that war later. If that officer writes you a ticket, you can go to court, fight it, go before the magistrate or the judge. But don't lose your life because there's an asshole officer out there, I guarantee you, in every department. So, and you got these new young boats that's not receiving all this training. So just make sure, like I said, you have your driver's license, your proof of insurance in the envelope, and set it on top of whatever in your glove box. So when you open it, you grab that envelope first. You ain't got to dig for it. Make sure your stuff is current. Don't ever give an officer a reason to fuck with you. Make sure you got the right, when that new proof of insurance come with the expiration dates, make sure you switch it out. Don't give an officer, don't be, and I sad to say, I know marijuana is legal now, but if they smell it, they're going to be trying to search your vehicle. So if you can, try not to smoke marijuana in your vehicle. There's certain things you can do to diffuse situations to make them don't even happen. Because people have marijuana is legal now. A lot of people have medical marijuana cards, or it's legal. But when you transport it, make sure you don't transport too much. If you're going home to smoke, don't be trying to stock up for the whole month. Get you what you need to smoke for a couple days and go back and get you some more. Play it safe.
I like what T from the D said. She said no pension for the family of that officer. And she's talking about the officer that took
Oh, okay. Most okay, no pension for the family of that officer. See, the thing about it is some departments, they have right to earn their pension, but I know there's a way too where the departments or the city can hold your pension, because if they got to pay a lawsuit for something you've done, the city gonna turn around and possibly sue that officer too. But I'm quite sure they're not gonna be giving up no money. Now, the only time, the family that I know of, if the families get the pension is when the officers are killed on duty, or if they die or something happened, the beneficiary is going to get that pension. But if the city is going to have to pay out money to a family, and that's millions, I'm quite sure the city's going to be holding on to that pension.
Wow. Ronald wrote, would you discipline these officers in Flint who violate your rights?
Hell yeah. Come on now. Chief need to step up. Now you watch city council, everybody know that people's First Amendment rights are being violated. That disorderly conduct, script, that clause they read for the residents, that shit needs to change. We need to reword that when we get on council and put to include, because one day we might have a disorderly resident, but we got disorderly council people. They asses are the one that need to be arrested. And I said it before, there are hired security officers that patrol outside and inside at City Hall during the day. Why in the hell can't they sit at City Council? The residents aren't being disorderly. It's some of the council members that are provoking the residents. They can diffuse, a security guard can diffuse a situation and ask somebody to leave if they're disorderly. But like I told Sergeant V before, if you arrest Liddell's Lewis ass or one of them disorderly council people one damn time, that shit might cool off a little bit and stop. But why are we so quick to put out a resident and arrest the resident? And then on top of that, you're only supposed to take orders from law enforcement agents, law enforcement commanders. In a situation like that, when you about to arrest somebody, now don't get me wrong, Sergeant V is a sergeant and he has the right to use his discretion within that chamber. But come on now, we can't be abusing the power. Why are the residents being disorderly? Because some of those council members, Liddell Lewis, and I know I was told not to say their names no more, but that's a threat. So if the council person Liddell Lewis, Quincy Murphy, Candace Muschette, or Judy Priestley want to be an asshole and mess with the residents and they're being disorderly, why not put the handcuffs on them and walk them out? Why are you so quick to put out the residents? And that shit that I was told before, we're trying to let them get the business of the city done. They're not getting shit done. That's bullshit. They're doing nothing arguing.
I talked to an officer when I was there in Flint, and he said that I said, don't they got to call 911? He said, no, possibly. I'm not giving his name. No. Just sends a text. Liddell sends a text, and then they come down more. But I remember when they, I'll never forget it. And I mean, my anxiety went up when they had took Arthur Woodson that one time. And my tears.
That shit was so illegal. I was there that night.
That right
shit was
there.
So illegal.
I kept hitting up everybody. Hey, check on Art. Make sure he's okay. Because, and even Mickey, I think Mickey had went, make sure Mickey was okay. Mickey was good.
Mickey was out there too.
But I remember what they did to Art, and I remember like even that night not knowing. I was so happy he was able to get out, but imagine if he didn't get out, and then the fake charge.
First of all, when we were in the hallway, that was bullshit. Because when Art asked Sergeant V to see, and Sergeant V, and I talked to Sergeant V, but Arthur Woodson asked Sergeant V to see the copy of the rule, because he's like, when would this rule start? About the hallway thing, because sometimes you can't have. If there's a rule, it needs to be in writing and on paper, for one, if they're going to enforce it. Two, there's no rule about you can't stand in the hallway. I actually took pictures and looked around in the hallway. There's no sign saying you can't stand there. Now, everybody use the common sense. If somebody's walking up to the door and you're blocking the door, you're going to move. But there's no sign or anything in the hallway, at that doorway or in that hallway, period. And I walked all the way to the to the elevator. There's no sign saying you can't stand in the hallway or sit in the hallway. Mm-hmm. So he asked him, where's that rule? Let me see it. Sergeant V, and I remember this like it was yesterday. He patted his pocket. He's like, oh, I don't have it on me. Sergeant V, that shit wasn't funny, because then you turned around and y'all arrested him and took him to jail and then kept him all night. I hope he sued the hell out of the city. But then I'm sad about the situation too, because, your rights are violated. Hell, you got to sue. But in our case, in the city of Flint, I'm going to be honest with you guys. It's one, only hurting the residents because we're already broke as hell. We can't get stuff done. Two, you sitting here violating people's rights, residents' rights, and you're going to keep doing it. You become complacent. And if you keep letting a person get away with shit, they're going to keep doing it. That's why it's time to just clean house. I said it before. We need to recall the mayor. We need to demote the police chief and find somebody that can run that department right. We need to give them their budget back. We need to get a fire department their budget back. We need to make sure we have our own training facility that the police and fire can use and other agencies can use. We have all these schools here, these universities here, Michigan State, University of Michigan. We got people in Lansing, the universities in Lansing, Eastern Michigan, everybody. They will drive that hour to teach. A lot of them will do it for free because they want to help Flint, but they're not being asked. It doesn't take much to write a curriculum on interpersonal communication skills, special training. Why are we going out of state? Now, there's some conferences that are going to be excellent, and you need to send your lieutenants or some officers who's in charge of certain areas. Now, I'm not saying don't do that, but some of this stuff that we need to utilize the training in these facilities that are here and the people that are willing to help us. But there's no plan. That's the problem with this city. Yeah, we talk about having a master plan to build stuff, tear down stuff, and give all these organizations the money. No, we need to go back to basics and start all over again because the shit's not working there. For example, the water crisis. This shit's been going on for 10 years. There's no way in hell. You got cities out in the Livonia, Detroit area, out suburbs. They replaced their shit just because they wanted to make sure it was right for the residents. These pipes in the street, in the houses, this shit should have been done a long time ago. That's why I keep saying if they had taken care of the residents, we wouldn't be in this situation. 10 damn years. That's freaking crazy. And then this water crisis thing, I'm sorry, you guys. That paperwork they keep sending you guys, go ahead and fill it out. But guess what? I don't think you're going to get the money. What's going to happen is somebody's going to smart up and we're going to get a better lawyer. And then as long as you keep putting in, because you know how the city going to screw you over. They're going to try their best to screw you over. So you just keep filling out your paperwork. So when you turn around and whoever filed that lawsuit and all y'all join in and sue, that's how y'all going to get y'all money. Because the city's not going to give it to you.
That is horrible.
Yeah.
That is horrible. Mickey, I don't know if we're past time. I don't want to. Mickey's still in the room?
Yes, he's here.
Yeah, I'm right here. Yeah. You just had an hour and 2 minutes.
Starting to look at some of the questions.
Yeah, we can go into the chat real quick and then wrap up. But love the conversation. What you say, Mickey? Oh, you said something, Rose?
No, I was just telling Kawani, so I always get put out of council meetings. I'll keep coming back. Please come back. Don't let them demons and the devil discourage you. Keep coming. Neely was a council member before 6th Ward. People change. I hear stories about, I remember Neely from Northern, but we weren't like high and by friends or whatever. But people change and money changes people. And something else I want to say, because I know we're about to end this, something we need to do, you guys, like I said before, there's a lot of people creating division. Yeah. If you want to get together, I want to hold a big town hall meeting, and it's going to be a planning session. I want it to be workshops. If you got suggestions on what you would see your vision of the city of Flint, we need to work together. We need our own grant team. We know what problems we have. We could talk about our problems all day, but we need to put the problems on paper. We need a plan. The residents, we need our own plan of what we need to do. It needs to be a 5-year strategic plan. We need to write the problems down. We need to identify solutions, and we need to look for outside sources to help us. Funding is there because we ain't getting no damn money from City Hall. And I want the first ward to be a model. So once we get this stuff together and rebuild the first ward, guess what? Every other ward is having that same problem. There is no reason why the council people can't work together and fix their ward. If one ward, everything is going good, where we're getting that money from and how our model is working, let's make first ward a model. And then everybody else can join in. We can multitask. Some people like myself know how to multitask. Some people just argue and talk shit all day and don't shit get accomplished. So if we can sit down and meet and make a plan, stick to our plan, evaluate our plan, we can rebuild this city back, and we can take our city back by recalling and demoting people and putting our plan to action. So if you want to do that, call me at 810-247-8681. Again, my number is 810-247-8681. And also, too, real quick, You guys know my headquarters burned down. We ain't talked about that, but I am in need of donations to try and pull this off. Help me help you. My Cash App, I should know about her, but my Cash App is $ friends with a S of capital RM First Ward. So it's $friends with a S of OF capital RM, the number 1 First Ward. So please, if you can help, every dollar counts. I lost all my yard signs and everything. I just had to buy a few more, but I'm gonna keep knocking, going door to door. But if you can help me, I would truly appreciate it. Help me help you. And I can't do this by myself. Even if when I do get elected to this position, I'm gonna need the residents' help. I need to know what the problems are. And I'm also creating a list of residents who are in need of home repair and improvement. Money's gonna be coming back. But if I know who need help before that application or that post come out, I can have you with an envelope with your stuff ready. So all we got to do is fill out the application. So I'm compiling a list of all the residents that need help. I'm helping First Ward, but I'm helping everybody in Flint. So please call me. Again, my number is 810-247-8681. And ATN knows how to reach me.
Wow. That's amazing. A 5-year strategic plan put together by everyone in the community. What I'm always saying? In order for us to move forward, we must unite, regardless of our differences, regardless of our opinions. We have to unite. Flint has to unite. Flint has to become back the community that it used to be. It doesn't say you have to repeat what happened in the past, but in order for Flint to move forward, you have to come to the table.
And you don't have to like the person, just respect each other, and let's fight for the cause to get Flint straight. And if you go back and watch 810, Tia Harris was on Thursday, was it? Go back and watch that interview with Tia Harris. She said some great things. And somebody said something last night to me. Be careful who you hang around. Sometimes you just got to be quiet, sit back, watch, be observant, and you'll see things. God will show you things. So you guys, let's work together. We could do this. You don't have to like me, but I'll respect you if you respect me.
And something you said, I was going to close with Tia. Tia is amazing. I met her in person when I was there in Flint, and we're like twin birthdays. Her birthday's April 13th. I'm April 14th.
She said some good stuff on the show.
What she said, what stood out, Rose, and it was spot on. She said, your temperament, you have the right temperament, and you do. Just me sitting here listening to you, I've been saying that. The temperament that you need to deal with that council, do you have the right temperament to deal with that?
That was the question. Sitting next to Liddell or something, it said.
Yeah, and that's what Free Daddy was saying.
Yeah.
And that goes back to what Tia said. That you had the temperament.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that the other candidates don't. I'm just saying that that's a part of what you need to be able to deal with that demonic force that's sitting there.
I've dealt with snakes before, and snakes that were worse. And you gotta to think about it is never let nobody get your goat, because let it go in one ear and come out the other ear. You could try and diffuse the situation, but you can't fix stupid. Some people are just stuck on stupid. So Liddell Lewis, God forbid she is still sitting next to me, but if she is, guess what? I'm working for the First Ward residents. I'm not gonna be getting put out, but guess what? It's gonna be some changes. We're not gonna be dealing with all this bullshit that we're dealing with the council, how they abusing the residents and putting other council members out just trying to do the good thing, do a right thing. No, the bad ones got to go. We're going to work on that. It's going to be some changes.
Mickey, did you want to say something?
No, I ain't got nothing. I just got nope, not a thing to say.
Well, I want to thank everyone, especially everyone that was in the chat. And I really enjoyed this conversation. And when you get a chance, post Sonia Massey's picture on your Facebook. Keep sharing the justice. Pray for her family tonight, and pray for Flint tonight.
Yes.
On top of that, pray for the officers here, the officers there in Flint that are not paid enough. They don't have adequate housing
or help.
Pray for their mental health to make sure that they don't do what that fool did in Illinois.
And they don't leave because of the being short-staffed, the stress. That's stress. Pray for them. Thank the officer. If you see an officer out doing something, thank them because they don't have to be here.
And also, I want to say thank you for the people that rounded up those cars. They somebody was asking what are they going to get their cars back? They don't need their cars back.
Nope, they're being forfeited.
I saw that in real time in Flint, and people could have been killed with those real spins. So I am glad that they're finally getting those vehicles. Forgive me, but that's my opinion. So I just want to say good night until next week.
Thank you.
Saturday, tomorrow, Mickey, is Councilwoman Burns coming on tomorrow morning?
Yeah, it should be on.
Okay, so tomorrow the lovely Councilwoman Tanya Burns will be on in the morning, and then Clubhouse in the evening. Is Sister Audrey coming on Sunday?
Yeah, it should be on.
Is tonight? Do we have anyone after us?
I'm finna find out soon as we get on.
But y'all keep checking on A10. Mickey will share and you'll be able to get on. And again, please donate to A10 News Media Group.
Yes.
To the greatest producer. I don't know, Mickey, what's your name today? I know it's
I'm going by Mickey right now.
All right, y'all. Good night.
Peace.
Good night.